Hey everybody, welcome back. And as you probably already saw in the thumbnail, we are about 2 months into ownership and 1,000 miles in, and the car has left us stranded. And just to give you the story of it, we were on our way to dinner about 2 weeks ago on a Friday night, and on the little circle screen, we got the yellow warning about overheating. And then we continue to drive not too far. I mean, just shortly after, um, it started to have a red warning on, I forgot which screen, probably both, and it said to pull over and stop the car immediately. We pulled over, and checking the car, I looked under the car, and yeah, it was leaking. I wasn't so sure what it was. Probably stupid of me to actually put my hand under the car and touch it, because maybe it could have been hot or super hot, but I did that anyway, and it just felt I don't really know how to describe it, but it didn't feel like water, so I assumed it was coolant. Not that I've touched coolant before or even know what it smells like. So yeah, I knew it had a coolant leak, and from there I just had to call roadside assistance. And this is a learning tip for all of you. When you use your insurance or roadside assistance that isn't really AAA, which has like a count of how many tows you can have, I went through my insurance and they towed it back to my house because my mechanic, his lot was full, and that's what he told me, to bring it by on Monday instead. So when I tried to call the insurance again on Monday, they wouldn't tow my car to the shop because they only allow one tow per incident. So just letting you know that may be the case for you if you ever in that situation, that you just want to tow it there directly if you can. But luckily, one of my parents, they had AAA, so I used their towing service to get it to the shop. And that's where I left the car for a couple of days to get the diagnosis. And on the following Wednesday night, my mechanic, he brought me to the shop and showed me the computer. The computer seems fine, and showed me under the car where it was potentially leaking. And let me open the hood for you. Yeah, so we went underneath the car. It's kind of hard to tell from the top, the leak, but we went underneath the car. He took off the shielding, so you can easily see like where the drips are. He showed me with just like a little pointer and a flashlight where it was potentially leaking, and he thought it was the oil filter housing area, and it should be right in there. If you see that silver brick, it's attached to that. And he was explaining to me with diagrams, because he's a very thorough mechanic, that you don't know if it's the gasket that is leaking or the housing. So he recommends to do both, because the labor would be the same either way. Because if you go in there and you find that the gasket's leaking and you just replace the gasket, the housing may still fail, because it's one of the failure points of the car. And if the housing is failing, then you're going to replace the gasket anyway. So the labor is the same, and so he had to take off pretty much all of this, and he's telling me how he's going to replace some hoses along the way. It kind of sucks to pay that. It would cost me $2,600 as of this date, and I double checked it, cross-referenced against mini dealerships to see if I was getting a fair price, and it was cheaper. And I trust this mechanic to be more thorough, and he was replacing other hoses along the way, which I forget, and I will leave the part numbers down below in the description of what else he replaced. So yeah, I just left it there, and he got to work over the following week. And when he got to that area and finally replacing, he opened it up and it was a failure of the housing itself. It cracked and the gasket was still good, but you might as well replace both because it's attached to each other and you're already in there. I did go over a couple options just to thinking about how to either save money or go proceed with this. I was asking if I can bring my own parts just so I can, if like FCP Euro or Turner Motorsports ECS, they have lifetime warranty. So if I buy this and it happens again, I can get the replacement, for free. But he only warranties the parts that he gets for about 2 years, and just discussed it with my wife, and I think we'd rather have that warranty for his work compared to if the parts fail and we have to go in there again, we have to pay the labor cost again. And going back to my total, about half the cost was labor and half was in parts. And I guess the tip for you is, if a leak is coming from this area for this car or this engine, it's most likely the oil filter housing area. And if it's either the gasket or the housing, just replace both. Even if it's only the gasket and the housing is fine, because you don't want to replace it and then 10,000 or 20,000 miles later the housing fails, then you have to go back in there, pay that labor, and then you're going to replace the gasket anyway. So that's kind of a tip for you there. And I've also researched that there are metal oil filter housings, because just like my Z4, the gasket fails, not the housing, because it used to be made of metal. And he was telling me how he's upset that they switched to plastic ones, and that's what has the cracks. If you have the metal one in there, you will know that in the future, if you ever get a leak from this area again, it's most likely just the gasket. I did kind of talk to him about that option, but he wasn't so sure about aftermarket parts. And if I brought that to him again, the warranty that he had on his work he wouldn't have that, right? Or we wouldn't have that warranty. And kind of thought that in my head. And the fit might not be perfect as OEM, so we just went with OEM. And it's good to know, at least I get at least 50,000 miles or something out of that part before I have to do another major repair. So he said when taking this one apart, actually, this was the original part. So that lasted about almost 80,000 miles, and hopefully it lasts that long for this car too. Maybe we might not even have this car at this point. So that kind of, I know it sucks that this happened, but I'm kind of glad it happened early in the ownership and pretty close to home. I was only 3 miles away. I know most people would sweat about it, but to me, I kind of known, if you are experienced with BMW ownership, there are known failure points in the engine. That's going to happen anyway. So it's nice to get like that refresh, so the interval of the next time it's going to happen is a little bit longer. And so the next one we're probably waiting for would be the water pump thermostat area. So if there's ever a leak this way on this side of the engine, then it's that. And I don't know if you can tell though, like if you check under the car, because I think because of the cover, it's gonna leak out the side the same way, I think. But good to know. This is taken care of for now and good for a while. Just waiting on this one to potentially leak. I know that may freak people out of ownership, but if you know it's gonna happen, it's kind of easier on the mind. And just a funny thing, before the overheat happened, we were on the way, right, going out the neighborhood. I was at a stop and I did hear the car like, it seems to be working pretty hard right now. I turned off the AC and it still seemed to be pretty loud than usual. And it just didn't seem right to me, but you know, we kept going on anyway. So that's another learning moment for you. And then my wife later told me, oh yeah, when she had this at work, she noticed that there was like a little stream following into the back of the car of liquid. And oh, that's pretty obvious. You could have told me that. But yeah, it is what it is. I'm just kind of glad that this is taken care of, and we should be good for a while besides, you know, the water pump issue or other things. I probably will make another video talking about that itself for other owners to understand when that repair comes. So yeah, just to update on the car, it was a pretty expensive fix, so this may limit some projects coming up, but thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time. See ya.